Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at Tarzan, issue 145. This issue is from the 1948 Gold Key run. Now this book started out as a Dell publication and eventually became Gold Key's. Very complicated history with Dell, Gold Key, and Western, so not something I'm getting into in this video. But this issue came out in 1964 and it features a painted cover by George Wilson and it has multiple stories in it. The first is No Gold the Terrible, script by Gaylord Bois with art by Jesse Marsh. There's a one-page text story called The Clash, and that is just a one-page thing. It's very, very short and not very interesting. Then there's The Golden Axe, which was written by Gaylord Dubois with art by Jesse Marsh. And then there is a short story at the very end that's only a few pages, very, very tiny backup story called Brothers of the Spear, Small Stranger, which is written by Gaylord Dubois with art by Russ. The first story finds Tarzan helping out a friend of his whose daughter and granddaughter were abducted by these tribals that worship a giant gorilla, and they end up getting captured because a lightning bolt knocks out Tarzan and the other guy was falling asleep. Well, they end up getting captured and sacrificed to the giant ape, so they end up having to take out this no-gold creature with bolos. And then Tarzan does one of the more disturbing things. He sends his friend to go rescue his loved ones and some other lady, while he skins the beast and creates a bodysuit that he hides inside of. Yeah, it got real weird and dark fast. In the second story, Tarzan rescues this guy who's being pursued, and the guy wants to challenge his local chieftain to a competition that involves axes, but he needs two other people. So Tarzan and one of the ape friends of his join him as his seconds, and they end up helping this guy basically by being distractions, even though the attack is rigged against them. In the other story, Small Stranger, this woman rescues this kid who ends up being a healer and saving her husband's life. The last story was probably the weakest, but all of them are very, very simplistic. The art is incredibly simplistic and largely not very good. It's really, really uncanny valley at times. Tarzan doesn't really look like Tarzan. He just looks like a guy in shorts through the entire thing, but the premises are fine. They're just very short stories with not much detailing, and unless you have a real nostalgia for this is not anything that's really going to blow you away. It is kind of weird how they talk in two languages quite a bit. So he'll be talking in some sort of, like, I don't know if it's a real language or not, but I don't think it is. And then it'll have the English version right underneath it in the same word bubble, or at least a partial translation maybe. So overall, I would have to say, by today's standards, this would be an indie book, but Gold Key was always kind of like that, is from my memory. It was always like a third or fourth tier publisher. But the fact that there's such little detailing in here and they use a lot of color wash as background instead of putting details in, I think hurts the book quite a bit. And the art is not that great. The animals look really good. I thought the apes looked really cool and the trees look good. When there is background, it's really well done. But this was obviously done quickly, so a lot of panels have corners cut and the people look a bit silly at times. The last story had the best art, and even that wasn't anything to really write home about. So I would have to say this is a hard pass for me. I didn't grow up with the Tarzan books, but if you have a nostalgia for these, you'll probably want to pick it up. They're not that expensive. I think in really nice condition, these go for about 11 bucks on average, from what I could tell, but you could find it cheaper a lot of times too. They do tend to be oversized though. These are more golden age size, so you're gonna have to get special bags for them, but I wasn't real impressed. I didn't think these were the best Tarzan stories. Granted, after 100 and some issues, it's gonna be difficult to really tell an original story with Tarzan, but I think this one was just a little weak for me. I love the cover. The cover's fantastic, but the issue just didn't really live up to that expectation. And in a lot of ways, this reminded me of Dynamite Entertainment because you get an amazing cover and really mediocre interior. But like I said, the stories were okay, just not for me and nothing really to write home about. So I would say pass on it unless you have real nostalgia for this era of books, or you're looking at it as some kind of investment for future love of Tarzan. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.